Hello, and welcome to AP Daily. My name is Greg Hill, and I teach at John Horn High School in Mesquite, Texas. We're going to continue our talk about population distribution, topic 2.1. What will we learn? Today we're going to talk about population density. But first, we need to look at density versus distribution. Density is the number of people in a space. As we all know, geography is a spatial science. We look at how humans interact in a space, how humans are distributed in that space, and density allows us to look at the sheer number of people in a particular space. Distribution. This is the spatial spread of people in a space. It's important for geographers, but for the sake of this video, we're going to specifically focus on density. There are three types of density we look at in AP Human Geography: arithmetic density, physiological density, and agricultural density. First, let's look at arithmetic density. Now, commonly, we generally call arithmetic density just population density in general, but there are three components. Arithmetic density looks at the sheer number of people per square mile or per square kilometer. Sometimes this is called crude population density. Physiological density. This is the number of people per unit of arable land. And then agricultural density looks at the number of farmers per unit of arable land. Let's look at some examples. Arithmetic density. How do we calculate it? You take the total population of an area and divide it by the surface area, sometimes known as the land area. Looking at this map of global population density, you see that there are spatial differences throughout different regions of the United States and also throughout the world. We'll visit this in videos on topic 2.2. We can also look at population density at the county level. We can look at population density at even the city level. For example, cities like Manhattan in New York shows us intense population density on such a narrow strip of land. If you were to compare this with, say, a rural area of Kansas or a rural area of Iowa, you would get a different population density than you would in the city of Manhattan. When we look at these population densities, one of the most common things that geographers use in modern times is how land and humans are intersecting with each other. Areas that used to have very small population densities or physiological densities are now starting to see expansive growth as people move from rural areas to urban areas. Physiological density, how do we calculate it? You take the total population of an area and you divide it by the amount of arable, or as I like to call it, farmable land. This is land that people can use to grow crops. Agricultural density gives us another take. We look at the number of farmers of an area divided by the amount of arable land. Again, arable land is land that is suitable for farming. Let's look at an example. Egypt is a classic example that many AP Human geographers use as a great example of looking at the three different types of densities. As we know, Egypt is in the northern part of Africa in the Sahara Desert. With that said, most of Egypt's population is straddled on the Nile River. So as we look at its arithmetic density, taking the total surface area of Egypt, it has an arithmetic density of 98 people per square mile. But if you look at its physiological density, the area of people in its unit of arable land, it goes up to 6,995 people per square mile. With that said, what does that tell us as geographers? That humans are putting a lot of stress on the land than we could commonly see by just looking at the arithmetic density. So what are countries like Egypt doing for this? They're starting to rearrange and produce new cities, even so much as moving their capital from Cairo to what they call the new capital, simply and plain. What they're trying to do is relieve the stress of the people along the Nile River Valley and move them more towards the Sinai Peninsula. So let's practice. Looking at this, take a moment and go through the answer options for this question. Physiological population density differs from crude population density in that physiological density, and the answer is C, explains density in terms of people per arable square land unit, while crude density explains density in terms of people per total square land unit. What should we take away? Population density allows for geographers to describe the human-environment interaction by looking at the distribution of people and their impact and stresses on resources. I want to send a special shout out to the Skeeters of Mesquite High School and teacher Kenny Martin. Thank you, and this has been AP Daily.